right. Ready? Good evening, everyone. It is 6 p.m., so I will call the meeting of the West Richland City Council to order tonight, June 2nd, 2026. Before we get started, I'm going to ask our city clerk, Stephanie Haug, to read the hybrid meeting ground rules and then call roll for this meeting.
Thank you. Tonight's meeting, oh, do you need to adjust the volume?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I
Okay.
just moved it down.
Tonight's meeting will be held in person with a virtual meeting component. If you are participating virtually, please make sure the name shown at the bottom of your video view is the name you would like the mayor to use. You can change this by right-clicking on your video view and selecting Rename. Audience members present in the council chambers will be called upon first during public comment periods. Those participating remotely should virtually raise their hand if they wish to speak. To virtually raise your hand, click on Participants and then click on Raise Hand. If you are participating by phone only, press *9 to raise your hand. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. All right, roll call. Fred Brink,
Here.
Richard Bloom,
Here.
David Cole,
Here.
Kate Moran,
Present.
Ann Ritchie,
Here.
John Smart,
Here.
Ben Stoker,
Here.
and David Fetto asked to be excused this evening. He's out of town.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. Council, may I have a motion to excuse Councilmember Fetto?
I move to excuse Councilmember Fetto.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And now, Councilmember Moran, if you would kindly lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Moran. Council members, the agenda is before you. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you again, Council. We have two presentations tonight. For the first one, I'd like to invite Police Commander Mitch Coates to come forward for a special introduction. One of the most important responsibilities of local government is to ensure the safety and well-being of our citizens in our community. And tonight we have the opportunity to welcome the newest member of the West Richland Police Department, Officer Taylor Yost. Commander Coates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the West Richland Police Department, I'm pleased to introduce the newest member of the department, Taylor Yost. Officer Yost started her law enforcement career at the Richland Police Department, and after realizing that was not the proper fit for her, she applied with West Richland, where she was welcomed immediately by our team. Officer Yost is excited to be joining the city and serving this community. Outside of her professional life, she enjoys spending time with her husband, Logan, family, friends, and her dog, Maverick. She loves being outdoors, whether that means spending time on the water, traveling, or simply embracing new experiences and adventures. She values strong relationships, community involvement, and building meaningful connections with the people around her. Officer Yost holds a master's degree in forensic psychology and brings previous law enforcement experience to her role. Her education and professional background have helped shape her commitment to public service and lifelong learning. In her free time, she enjoys staying active, exploring new hobbies, and continuing to learn and grow both personally and professionally. She is ready for the opportunity to serve the residents of West Richland and is looking forward to getting to know the community, building lasting relationships, and working alongside fellow city employees. She is excited for this next chapter and feels fortunate to be a part of a community she can serve and support and call home. Please welcome Taylor Yost.
I'm so excited to be here. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity to work here, and for the warm welcome.
Yep. Thank you, Officer Yost. Please. All right, thank you, Commander Coates. For our second presentation, we will ask, I'll ask Sarah Schwan to come up, as well as Amy Schmidt of the Mid-Columbia Library. Each year, the Mid-Columbia Libraries provide an update on their services, programs, and resources available to the residents throughout our community, including those here in West Richland. We appreciate the partnership of the Mid-Columbia Libraries, what you provide to our community, and look forward to hearing about your successes and activities. Please go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you. My name is Sarah Schwan, and this is,
Hi, I'm Amy Schmidt.
and Mayor Brink, the council members. We are pleased to be here today to give you an update on the calendar year of 2025. And then we actually have some data from our 2026 customer satisfaction survey. So some of the information is more recent, but the data is from last year alone. So perfect. Next slide. Thank you. So during COVID, we did a we did a community needs assessment. Public libraries, in order to remain relevant and current and be able to serve the public, it is very important that we know the needs and the wants of our public. So our strategic focuses or foci for 2023 to 2027 are as follows: literacy, all children in the Mid-Columbia read, enjoy reading or at or above grade level. Enrichment, being all community members enjoy easy, dependable access to library content and resources to stimulate their imaginations. And then with connection, all community members are connected to local community resources in the greater digital world in ways that meet their needs. Up here is a map of our 12 branches. Not everyone is aware that we have 12 branches. And so we have a courier that goes between each one of those branches every day. So if you are looking for a book that's up in Connell and it's in the branch, you can reserve it and it'll be at your branch the very next day. Amy had a story today where somebody was looking for a book on hold and they saw our IT van at her branch and she was like, "Oh, courier is here." It's like, sorry, no, it's just our IT van doing some computer work at the branch. Next slide. Thank you. So this is data from our current customer satisfaction survey that is specific to West Richland residents. And so 96% feel that Mid-Columbia Libraries plays an important role in enhancing lifelong reading, providing books and content in a in an accessible and timely manner, especially thanks to Courier, and then enhancing reading and viewing and listening for pleasure. And so those number 96% is actually a combination of those who answered strongly agree or agree, and all of the strongly agrees were at 70% or above. So our West Richland customers are very happy with the services we provide. Next slide. So here is a breakdown of what Mid-Columbia Libraries, the indirect and direct costs for our branch, with obviously wages and brand benefits being the number one annual cost. Fixed asset is going to be computers, furniture, technology that we put into the branch. New materials is the portion. We spend 15% of our annual budget on new materials, and so that's the percentage that we designate to West Richland. And then the indirect cost sharing is going to be essentially our executive team and the programs, human resources, IT, all the things that make our system run. So our annual contract with the city of West Richland is $604,000 from some dollars. And so you can see the annual expenditures that we spend on the branch are about to the tune of $670,000. So it's being able to be a part of a greater system, and we can use funds to be more effective and more efficient and share more benefit with the residents of West Richland. Next slide. So here's a graph of the data from the previous slide, but I've also added in that very light gray section is going to be the value of the collection on any given day that we home at the West Richland branch, if you will. So the value, all these numbers add up to over $2 million. Next slide. So we are able to calculate of the items checked out by West Richland residents. Last year alone, the value of the digital and physical collection was at $6.8 million. And actually, the number of West Richland customers that are satisfied or very satisfied is actually 98 from this year's data. So we're excited to see Amy and her hard work and our great team rising that up by 2 points in 1 year alone. And that was 76.32% is very, very satisfied. So Amy will kind of talk, here's some more data on last year alone from the branch.
On-site visits, I feel like they've increased, also in duration. Parents have set up play dates there while they're meet at the library. The parents really like it. They can sit on one of our comfy chairs and know that the kids can play in the kids area. We also have the meeting room in the school year is used by quite a few tutors for studying. We've had college students take tests there. Our programs continue to grow. Baby story time, we started last year and we had a small group, 3 to 4 kids, and now we're seeing groups of usually 7 to 10 kids. Those are just the babies. Then you have the adults and sometimes older siblings. So program attendance is increasing. We're getting more questions for computer help. People want to know how to print things, set up emails. So we are consistently busy, and I feel in the last couple months it's gotten even busier. So I'm sure those numbers will be a little bit higher next year.
Yes, next slide. So on our website, you can scan this QR code and it'll take you directly to the website where you can calculate based upon the services that you use from the library, the value that your family benefits from using the library. I had to cut off some of those programs, otherwise it would have been too minuscule to read, but there's actually 18 different categories that you can go on and check, how many movies you've borrowed, how many young adult, that kind of thing. So, and I would say, we've been conservative on the amount of different items. Ebooks, while West Richland residents are voracious digital users, they are expensive. Those publishers really like to change up the funding models on those. It's not like you purchase one physical book and it can be used, checked out as many times. They like to switch it up on us. But that's the cost of doing business, so it's all good. And people reading. Next slide. So again, year after year, West Richland is our 3rd busiest branch. Kennewick often being housing 40% of our collection, being a large building, that tends to be our number 1. But West Richland always comes in strong. You actually have 2,000 monthly active users. So that means 2,000 unique people every month come into the branch. And so that doesn't, that the way we were able to calculate that number is they've used their library card to check out things, whether it's physical or digital. They use our printing services. What are other things that the branch has used? Like
Computers.
Yes, computer sessions.
Computer sessions, yeah.
Yeah, so that doesn't necessarily capture all the people that are coming in the branch and aren't necessarily using a library card, but using it as a third space, a space where nowadays you don't have to, never have you had to go and pay to use a library, but those being able to be in a space where you're not having to pay anything is a rarity these days. And then 55% of West Richland households annually use us. And it could be once or it could be multiple times, but 55% of the households in West Richland use us annually. Next slide.
So Library of Things, I'm not sure how many people are familiar that we have started loaning out items, everything from board games to tools. We were the 3rd, I think, branch to offer a small portion. I kept at West Richland, and it has been very popular. One of our customer service specialists, she runs the adult DIY program, and to kind of raise awareness of the Library of Things, she's been able to use some of the Library of Things in her programs. With the help of the support of the Friends of the Library, we did wood burning signs in March, and they were able to use the wood burning pins. We just used the Cricut, one of them, and people are really impressed that they're able to check these things out and take them home and use them. So they've really liked it.
Yeah, I think another anecdote is that somebody checked out the sewing machine to make a Halloween costume, and then for Christmas they asked for a sewing machine because they so enjoyed using it.
It's
But-
nice to try the items out before. That's one of the things we hear is it's nice to try it out before they purchase it.
Yeah, so there's a drone, inflatable movie screen, all sorts of,
Electric pruners,
yeah, who knows? You never
all
know.
sorts of things.
Next slide. So last year I presented that we had done a pilot program with Richland Public, Walla Walla Public, Walla Walla County, and then Columbia County Library Systems as a pilot project to understand who all would want to be having a card from a neighboring branch. We Mid-Columbia Libraries are the only ones that have our own physical collection. The others pay into a consortium because they're smaller branches and that kind of thing. So in order to be fair to our taxpayers and our contract cities, we do not allow reciprocal borrowing card holders to use our digital collection. But that's being said, there were over 3,400 cards issued in 2025. And then you can see here the data on how many people or how many items are checked out from Richland Public versus Mid-Columbia Libraries. I think you might assume that like the inverse would be true and that more people would check out from Mid-Columbia Libraries, more branches, more items. But I think with Richland Public being a donut hole in between Mid-Columbia Libraries, there's a lot more users in Mid-Columbia Libraries District.
And I feel like this has, I'm going to jump.
Yeah, please do.
I feel like this has really helped serve our community better because we've had customers come in and they've been like, oh, I want this book. And we'll be like, well, we don't have it. And then I'll be like, let me check the Richland Public site. And sometimes we're able to say, well, if you go over there and get a reciprocal card, you can, and we've had vice versa where Richland will send people our way. So I think it's really helped out.
Yeah. Next slide. So summer reading is one of our mainstay programs. It's a program that I often fundraise for. And so this is our theme this year is dinosaurs and democracy. As you might have noticed on the first slide, our logo has changed a little bit for America's 250th birthday. Next slide. So here are some of the different programs. This is just very much a small snippet of what families and young kids could experience at the libraries, but you can see a number of programs offered here. We have Reptile Lady coming to Flat Top Park at 10 a.m. on the 17th. And then next slide, a few more programs. Fossils in Our Backyard taking place on August 4th. And then Detective Diggs taking place on Monday, July 27th. Very exciting news. Last year, we brought Shelby Van Pelt to town with the author of Remarkably Bright Creatures. This year, we have Julia Quinn from Bridgerton. So we are very excited to bring Julia Quinn to town. It'll be open to all, obviously, as the public library program on November 12th. It will be at the Art Fuller Theater, which is at Kennewick High. It will likely be ticketed because we expect this to very much sell out. So it will be free, but it will be ticketed. And so you can find more details coming, follow us on social media. You'll find out more. Next slide. Thank you. So we are proud to host on June 13th, the TED Democracy Live event. This is out of Philadelphia, but it's a great conduit for critical conversations, fostering local engagement nationwide. And it's going to feature 15 different original TED Talks on democracy and coinciding with America's birthday. All right, next slide. Thank you. You're so on it. Yeah, so these are oftentimes, and thinking back to last year's presentation, these were a lot of the snippets that came out of our customer satisfaction survey as highlights that are come in the comments section from our West Richland customers. But I think this is, a testament also to Amy and her staff. They're always so helpful, helping people find, whether it's computer help, finding new titles, exploring what they want to be reading. But we love hearing how much people enjoy the library. So I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
No, just people are so impressed often with, how quick we can get the materials and how far we're willing to kind of go above and beyond to get them whatever they need, whether it's, tech help with Libby. We've sat with people and gotten them set up, computer help, or just finding books for kids who might be reluctant readers or adults themselves who want to get back into reading. We're constantly told like, oh, thank you. You take a lot of time to help people and we're glad to be part of the community.
And then the last slide has a couple quotes from this year's customer satisfaction survey, but one of them, I struggle with my mental health and I will vouch so much for the help on getting their help, meaning the library staff, help on getting a library card and getting access to Libby, where I can always get into many different genres of books and easily access books and stories to help me out and motivate me to keep going in life just to read another author's work of art. The second one being, I love being able to check out digital books using the app. Between the cost of gas and being 72, I don't travel around much. It's also much easier to hold a tablet or use a tablet stand than hold a book. And also my house is so small, I've not had room to set up my printer. So I'm glad I can go to the library and print out something if I need. And the last one is when I was living out of my car, the MCO was a safe place for me to go. I applied for jobs, charged my phone, and was able to have downtime to just enjoy books. You don't realize how much something like being able to read a book means to you until it becomes something impossible. I got on my feet thanks to MCL existing. I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Any questions for anybody?
Yeah.
Either Amy or myself?
Members, any questions for Amy or Sarah? Yeah, go ahead, Kate.
I just have a statement that I cannot even begin to explain how much I love being able to go into Libby or or Hoopla to have audiobooks because I work out at site and the radio doesn't always work that great sometimes, but those programs automatically pop right up on my car and I can just listen to the books and just not be here while physically, of course, being on the road watching, but being able to listen to things like currently I'm listening to Parable of the Talents, the second one. I just finished Parable of the Sower. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, I think last year digital audiobooks checked out more times than digital books. So you're on trend.
Thank you, Councilman Moran. I have one question, though. You mentioned the customer satisfaction survey for last year said 96% approval, this year 98.
Yes.
Do you have any, can you share any information about the sample size or how many people responded?
I will get that to you. We are
Right.
definitely, we have somebody who's a statistician who is very sure to make sure that it is this, I forget the term, but a sample size that is representational and therefore making it accurate data of
That
your
would be
community.
great if you could.
But I will
send
get the
that
stats to you. Yeah.
convenience.
And we've also made some different improvements that the community has been asking for. They've been asking for more adult programs. So we started doing the adult DIY, and then I had a customer really want an adult book club, and I was hesitant to start it because last year we tried and it kind of fizzled out. So we started one again this year, a little more structured, and we've had 5 to 6 people at each meeting since January. So it's been really nice. So
Yeah, we definitely listen to the feedback, given in that survey and make accommodations on what we are providing.
Yep.
To be.
Well, seeing no other questions, thank you very much for your time and thank you for the work you do at the Mid-Columbia Libraries.
thank you.
Yep. All right, we'll now move on to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda consists of approving the minutes of the regular meeting of May 19, 2026, and the workshop held on May 12th, 2026. We have a motion authorizing the mayor to execute amendment number 1 to the 2021 to 2026 Quad City Water Right Reporting Professional Services Contract, RH2. Motion to award the Municipal Services Facility Generator Project. Motion to accept the wastewater treatment plant access road emergency repairs as complete. Motion to approve application for the SLCGP, which is the State and Local Cybersecurity Grant Program grant for cybersecurity. Motion to cancel the July 7 City Council meeting. Motion to authorize the mayor to enter into a second contract with Washington State Department of Commerce for climate planning, specifically transportation and SEPA work for the comprehensive plan. We have ordinance 1026, file number TXT 004-02026, Development Regulation Code Amendments using updating the development agreements chapter of Title 14. And finally, a motion to authorize the mayor to contract with Burke Consultants for assistance with the periodic update to the comprehensive plan. Is there anyone from the audience that would like to comment on the consent agenda and just these items that I went through? Sir, you may take the podium. I kindly ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes and please identify yourself. Name and address, please, for the record.
My name's Bill Barlow, and I live in Kennewick, and I'm the president of Sustainable Tri-Cities, and I want to speak a little bit to the comp plan. It was just mentioned. I missed your open house, the 28th, and I feel bad. I should have been there. I've been following this pretty closely for my group, and I just want to say that I saw a lot of the comments that were put out about AI, and just recently you've had a kind of a data center talk going on. And I wanted to point out that I just went to the Benton County Comprehensive Plan, and they have developed a siting ordinance. I think it's a memorandum that deals with the kind of situations like energy that is going to be necessary for something like a data center. Big on energy. Also, there's I'm trying to remember who's doing it. Oh, the health department is doing a conversation about the water uses around data centers as well. So I'm really glad I looked at your comp plan from last year, and you were by far the most brilliant about climate change. You introduced it 10 years ago, and all the others are trying to catch up as they do this new climate element portion of the comp plan. And that's what we're really tracking. And I just want to say, as you move into this, again, as it is policy, that it is not unreasonable to start introducing some of these siting plans as a way to deal with some of the conversation that's going on, because it comes right down to where is it going to be? Where's the data center? Where's the, the usage for the energy going to be, and what are the regulations are going to be around it? And I just want to, not too good at this, but I just wanted to read sort of something out of the Benton County plan, if you don't mind. I got to get to it. It's called Appendix J. Energy Overlay Memorandum provides a review of the regulations and zoning language to promote compatible siting for renewable solar and wind facilities in Benton County, which may also be applicable to future alternatives such as small nuclear reactors. The siting of energy facilities merits careful planning. I think those are the key words. So you're not really looking at what it is that's going to be the users, but you're looking at where it is that's going to supply the kind of facilities that they're going to demand.
Sir, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt, but you've reached the 3-minute limit. There is other opportunity for public comment during the meeting, and you can continue at that.
Closing sentence is really quick.
Sir, I have to be
All
fair
right.
to everyone.
Thank you.
No, thank you. You wish to speak to the consent agenda? Yep.
My name's Tex Bender, 786 South 38th Avenue. The climate thing, if we're voting on that now and passing that, we're doing the wrong thing. Right here, 5 headlines. The IPCC has came out and said that all those dramatic things and things that were supposed to happen in the climate change were unrealistic and unlikely to ever happen. And that's been going on for 3 weeks now. And the idea that we're going to vote to continue that kind of program rather than stop and say, as a city, say, nope, we're not going to do this because now we want the CCA cut, the tax on our gas cut. We want these things cut because these things aren't going to happen. All the things predicated on the IPCC. Everything in the climate change is what the state has been using at follow the science, right? Just like COVID. But the science is not there anymore. The science doesn't exist anymore. And the people that hold that science say it doesn't exist anymore. And so we've been held, people have lost their jobs. I've been deplatformed, all kinds of stuff over this very thing. And the reality is it was all wrong. And they admit it themselves. The UN has come out and said it's wrong. The actual scientists have come out and said it's wrong. I mean, look at the headline. Scientists quietly reverse climate doomsday predictions for beloved by the corporate media. I mean, here's 5 of them. I got one for each one of you. If we vote yes on this and don't tell the state we're not doing this, it's time for us to stand up for our constituents. And that's what your job is. You're our closest thing we have to government. And you need to stand up for us and cancel all this climate change cost, because this cost us trillions of dollars that have been wasted when it wasn't really existent. And anybody who was paying attention knew it wasn't going to happen. I mean, let's look at how this works. We're at 400 parts per million in the carbon dioxide, right? That's been going on for about 15, 20 years right now. We're in the same place. You can work on site at 5,000 parts per million with no PPE, no any kind of protective thing, 8 hours a day, right? And so none of that takes that into consideration. But a guy like me who's been in the hazardous waste business and all those things, I know, and you know that all these things are wrong. And so it doesn't get severe until about 30,000 parts per million. So what are we at there? At 5,000, we're 12.5 times what we are now, and we've been sitting. So to continue this farce is ridiculous. And what our city should do is tell Ferguson and them, no, it's time we get rid of these taxes because they don't belong here, because all that stuff you predicated it on has been wrong all these years for a decade and a half. Okay, that's all. That's simple as it is, and that's how we should stand. That's how our city government should stand up for we the people, because we're the government and you guys work for us, and that's what we expect from you, is you guys to stand up for us. And when something's wrong, call it out. And they need to be called out over in Olympia for this kind of thing, because it's wrong, and now we know it's wrong. It's, I mean, even President Trump, if you like him or not, said him gloated, hey, you guys were wrong the whole time. We knew it. Right? And that's all over the internet. That's all over the internet. That's all over everybody's putting those headlines out that it was wrong. And so we've been taken advantage of by this. And this, the CCA is a terrible deal. It would drop about, on a 20-gallon tank of gas, it would drop about $15.
Sorry, the 3
a
minutes
tank.
is up.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks, Fred.
Yep, you're welcome. Please. I have to ask everyone, no applause, please. We try to treat each speaker, each presenter just fairly.
Come on, Fred.
So, please. All right. Is there anyone else who wish to speak to the consent agenda? Is there anyone attending online who wishes to speak to the consent agenda? If so, I ask you to kindly raise your virtual hand. You may also press *9 if you're calling from a telephone. If you do so, the city clerk will unmute you and you will have 3 minutes to state your point and then for the record. And I see no one online. Do you, Stephanie?
I do not see anyone, no.
All right. So council, the consent agenda was presented to you. All in favor, please say aye. Oh, excuse me, we need a motion first. Yeah, thank you.
I
I
move
move to approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
You know, it's good I got 7 people here to remind me. All right. So we have a motion and a second for the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right, this is the first period for public comment for items not on the agenda. So I know that fireworks is a little bit later on, so I ask that you retain comments until that specific item is brought up for discussion. But if there's anyone who would like to make comment for items that are not on the agenda, you may come forward and speak. Once again, please come to the podium, state your name and city of residence. You have 3 minutes to provide comments. I just remind everyone that council cannot respond to questions during this comment period, and that the time frame for comments not relating to items on, and it's time for items not relating on the agenda. So is there anyone attending that would care to speak to items not on the agenda? We can't respond to a question.
Get it out so everybody else can ask, we can get it figured out. Oh, my God. So this data center everybody's talking about, I want to know what's in it for us. What financially do we get out of it, right? Do we just get a big blob out here that takes out, what, 85, 86 acres out here where I sat this weekend and watched this beautiful view, right? Is that what we end up with? Do we end up with bad water? Do we end up with all these different things? We have groundwater here. Do we end up with some kind of problem? Do we end up with a problem with our power? Is it more expensive to us? What do we gain? And I try to go online on our city website here. You can't find nothing. It comes back with 126 pages, 10 items to a page. That's 1,200 and something, 60 articles to look through to try to find what I'm trying to get. And I can't even find the city charter that should be there, which is the laws that you guys have to follow. I can't even find it on our own website. That thing is the most pathetic failure you've ever seen in your life. You can't find anything you need to find. It's too hard. And we should have to sift that. But it's time that we start. The people need to know what's going on, because we hear about it, but you guys as a council, we need to know what's in it for us. What do we get? Are we going to have tons of jobs? Are we going to get tons of revenue, tax revenue? Or are we just going to have this big blob sitting out there that everybody has to drive past and look over at and go, we got nothing, right? Do we get environmental problems? What do we get? Because in my years in being and hauling stuff off of military sites and everything and hazardous waste, it's amazing what you find afterwards. Like go down to Hughes, down in Tucson, Arizona. For 10 miles everywhere around Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, the people around there when their kids were born with tumors all over their bodies because of what the government did to our land. Look at Hanford, same thing. 600 square miles, and we should have the best hospitals. This thing should be all cleaned up because they owe it to us. When you have a Superfund cleanup site like this, Hughes, they went and gotten people who were retired and brought them back in and were dumping in that pool and took everything they had to pay for the cleanup on that site, right? But why wouldn't we do that with our government? But we need to know what we're getting into before we go, well, we got this is a grand thing. We want to be a part of this AI movement, right? And the AI movement isn't that great. Every time you ask a question, you check it. Well, it's wrong 90% of the time. But we need to know what we're getting financially. What is in it for us? Because there's nothing financially, why have it here? right? If it doesn't give us great wealth, why have it here? That's what it should do. Okay, that's all I want to know is if we can get those answers. And I want the goddamn city charter. Would love to have that so I know if you guys are following the law or not. That's what it's there for.
Thank you. Sir? Yeah.
I'm going to try.
Turn to you. No.
How y'all doing? I'm Harry Mays. I live at 8413 Barrel Loop. Everything I wanted to say tonight was already said by Mr. Bender. So I appreciate everything that he said. So go, Mr. Bender.
I might as well get in my last sentence here. I am an urban planner, so I really appreciate the value of the comprehensive plan. We're looking 20 years out, 20 years into the future. And it's all we're looking for is some kind of policy and some guidelines as to how we're going to get there. And back to what the county had provided, they have developed a lowest conflict opportunity siting will need to be factored into the county's commitment to protect valuable farmland. That's their focus. Sensitive habitats and health, safety, and quality of life to the local communities. That means we need to make metrics for these things so that we can evaluate an appropriate site. I'm not saying do it or not do it. I'm just saying that there is process to get to these things. And I would encourage you not to take it on alone, but we should take this on as a regional opportunity, if there are opportunities to be had, and think about the energy and the water that it's going to consume. That's all. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would care to comment this particular point in our meeting? I'll turn then to our virtual attendees. If there's anyone attending virtually who would like to provide comment, please raise your virtual hand. City Clerk will unmute you and you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments. Kindly ask that you state your name and city of residence for the record. And you may also press *9 if you're communicating via telephone. I do not see anyone. Stephanie, do you?
I do not.
All right. So we'll move on now to ordinances, resolutions, motions, and public hearing. First item is public hearing 2027-2032 Transportation Improvement Plan. It is item 8A. Public Works Director Roscoe Slade will present the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. It's good to see everybody here tonight for our 6-year transportation improvement that I know they all came out for. They enjoyed our general sewer plan from the last meeting. So on an annual basis, the Public Works staff updates the 6-year transportation improvement program to be consistent with the transportation element of the city's comprehensive plan. The program outlines the funded and planned capital improvements projects throughout the city. The projects listed on the program are eligible for state funds, federal funds, and the city's transportation impact fee funds. This year, the city has hired a consultant, Transpo, to help with the transportation element of the city's comprehensive plan. We pigtailed on that effort to have that consultant also help us with updating the 6-year transportation improvement program and updating the city's transportation impact fee program. Before you have is the 27 through 2032, and the staff report outlines the changes from last year's 6-year tip. So projects removed are the Bombing Range Road Pavement Preservation Project, Blue Heron to Keene Road. So projects come off the list if they're either constructed or if federal funds are obligated. In this case, that project's federal funds will be obligated later this year, and so it doesn't need to be included on next year's program. The other project was Keene Road and Kennedy Road intersection. Intersection modifications. We did some work at the signal at Keene and Kennedy. It was part of the overlay project that we just completed on Keene Road. So that one is complete and coming off this year's tip. The ones that were added, Keene Road subgrade. So this is part of the Keene Road widening. The wetland that's near South Highlands will be widening slightly into that wetland and having to do mitigation in preparation for widening Keene Road. Paradise Way pedestrian and bike improvements. There's a section of Paradise Way if you head west from Belmont on the south side that doesn't have curb gutter and sidewalk, so that would complete that gap. North 62nd Avenue bike improvements. This is looking at striping 62nd north of Gray Street and adding the bike lanes. So if you go south of Gray Street to Van Giesen, it's got bike lanes, but they stop right there at the school. So we're looking at improving that and taking it north to Harrington. And the last project added is the Paradise Way Phase 7 project, which would extend Paradise Way if you go past, go west of Keene Road. Paradise Way now is back out onto the railroad right away and stops. And the plan is to extend that down the railroad corridor and tie back into Rupert Road. It cuts through a county portion. So those are the new projects that are added to this year's 6-year TIP. Council is required to have a public hearing before adoption. Tonight, we're not adopting the plan. It'll come back to council based on comments that we hear tonight.
All right. Thank you, Director Slade. So I will now open the public hearing at 6:41 p.m. We will hear in-person comments first and then virtual attendee comments. If you're here present in chambers and would like to make a comment, once again, I'll ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to provide your comments with regard to the transportation improvement plan.
It's Tex Bender, 786 South 38th Avenue. Roscoe, we're on 38th Avenue between Grant Loop and the culvert up there, the irrigation culvert. We haven't had sidewalks. That house has been there 32 years. Everybody else has sidewalks down there with us. We could maybe do that. Oh, you're doing this other thing? And maybe we could get that kind of service where we're at. So I don't have to walk in the gravel. And hard to get around. So I had to buy a special walker to be able to walk in my front of my house to get around. And so how about that? How about you guys fix that part of the thing, of our streets? And so we have a continuous sidewalk up there. That's fair, I think. We're giving out to everything up here on top of the hill because there's all those rich houses up there. And we're forgetting about that down below. And we need to make sure that we're taken care of also because we've been here years before the rest of these things been here. Right? And we would probably still have fireworks if it weren't for the rest of these people up here. But that's another conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to comment on the transportation improvement plan for a public hearing? This lady's coming up.
Sorry, I'm slow. June Robinson, 2240 South 38th Avenue. And I'd like to add to what he said. It is really dangerous on that section of road where there is no sidewalk. You get school kids, kids on scooters, people on bikes, people walking their dogs, whatever. And at night, it's really dangerous. You see them at the last second. You hope to God you don't hit somebody someday because the lack of a sidewalk. You have them up above where you paved the road in 2018, but you have nothing down below between Van Giesen and the ditch. There's partially there and stuff, but that is, for there's a lot of pedestrians that walk that road, and it would be safer for public in general to have them there. So that's my say.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present, sir?
I'm not really prepared,
And
but
once again, just
Oh, yes.
introduce yourself.
Bill Barlow, I'm from Kennewick, and I'm also a member of the BFT Citizens Advisory Board. So this is a Ben Franklin comment. I know that there's a plan to build a transit center in Benton City. And it seems to me that would allow more direct service directly to Prosser and speed up their service by cutting out the Benton City Loop. But I know that a lot of the Benton City people are shopping and doing everything in West Richland. So it might behoove you to maybe include some conversation with Ben Franklin Transit about how that center works. Should it be a drop off from Prosser, swing in, swing out, or should it be actually a more connection to West Richland itself? Thank you.
My name is Zach Kellogg. I live at 7934 Cardinal Peak. I drive Keene Road every day, 5 times a day, on Latin Road and Hickory Avenue and the Highland Boulevard on the north or on the north and southern part of the wetlands portion that you mentioned. I think that we should put in the beeper crosswalks. A lot of times there's kids that cross to go to the other side to get on that trail where there's no sidewalk on that, where the wetlands are. They cross to get to the walking trail and ride their bikes and their scooters and stuff to school in the mornings. Oftentimes it's a stop for them so they can cross. I think it's a public safety hazard for them to not have a beeper to be able to cross the walk or to walk across that section of road. There's no striping. It's just pavement. So either add striping or add the beepers so that people can see the flashers and stop for those kids. That's all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else wishes to comment on the Transportation Improvement Plan program? All right, I'll turn to our virtual attendees. Does anyone attending virtually who'd like to comment on the Transportation Improvement Program, please raise your virtual hand. City Clerk will unmute you, and I'll kindly ask you state your name and address for the record. And you'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. I do not see anyone attending virtually who would wish to make a comment. Do you, Stephanie?
I do not see anyone with their hand up. No.
All right. So at this time, I will close 6:46, the public hearing. Once again, there is no action to be taken on this, but I appreciate everyone taking the time to provide their comments. Next, we have a public hearing, items 8B and 8C for the resolution adopting the 2025 to 2030 capital improvement plan. Once again, I'll turn to Director Slade to provide staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you is the amendment to the city's capital improvement plan that was originally adopted back in 2024. So this is a 25 through 2030. As we go through the budget process this year, we'll be adopting 27 through 32, and it will have a new format. So what you see tonight is probably the last format where you just see a spreadsheet, a project name, and some funding dollars. We're going to take each project and do a little more detail for each project that will provide more information than just simply the name. So bear with me for tonight, but this is an amendment that we're making 3 changes to the plan. The first one is adding the addition of a children's museum to our CIP under the parks portion. The other second item to be added is a Public Works satellite salt shed storage. This is things that you see probably the most DOT. You see them in rural areas where they're just a sand shed, salt shed, and we're looking at putting one in the northwest part of town so that when we're out snow plowing or sanding or needing liquid de-icer, the truck doesn't have to come all the way back here to the city shops. They can fill up there and continue, be more efficient. We're adding that to the CIP. And then the last one was the city's Veterans Cemetery site was not selected, and so we'll be removing that off the CIP. They've selected the rich one. So those are the amendments for tonight's capital improvement program.
All right, thank you, Director Slade. I'll now open the public hearing at 6:48 p.m. We'll hear in-person comments first and then virtual attendee comments. So if you're here present in chamber and wish to speak, kindly ask that you come to the podium. Once again, you'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments with regard to the capital improvement plan. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on that topic? Seeing none, I will turn to our virtual attendees. If there's anyone attending virtually who'd like to provide a comment on the capital improvement plan, please raise your virtual hand. City Clerk will unmute you, and you'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. Once again, I kindly ask that you state your name and residence for the record. You may also press *9. I do not see anyone attending virtually who wishes to make a comment. Do you see anyone, Stephanie?
I do not.
I will then close the public hearing at 6:49 p.m. And council, I will ask for a motion, please.
I move to pass resolution 2626 adopting the 2025 to 2030 6-year capital improvement plan.
Second.
Council, any discussion, questions that have not been answered yet? Mayor Pro Tem Bloom.
Mr. Slade, the Children's Museum, what's envisioned as far as the extent of that?
So they're a local nonprofit through Visit? Tridec, excuse me, had an RFP to site a children's museum in the Tri-Cities. And so the city of West Richland has submitted a proposal to have that located in West Richland.
I just one thing that comes to mind, and this is just a suggestion, is it seems like a good addition to the Mid-Columbia Library site. So that
The application's already been submitted. Councilmember Bloom, it's already been discussed in executive session where you didn't attend, weren't available.
Okay.
So we'll get you up to speed.
All right. Vacations are hell.
All right. Any other council members have questions? All right. Seeing none, council, we have a motion before you to adopt the 2025 to 2030 capital improvement plan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you, council. So lastly, this evening, we have ordinance 1126, first reading to amend the West Richland Municipal Code 8.22 fireworks. It's an ordinance before the council with its first reading, so no action will be taken tonight by council. And I will ask Commander Coates to present the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city of West Richland has regulated fireworks through a series of ordinances dating back to 1990, with amendments over time intended to address public safety, enforcement, operational concerns, and changing community expectations. Early ordinances established retail permitting requirements, discharge periods, and operational standards for fireworks sales and use. Subsequent amendments modernized code language, reduced discharge dates and times, updated permit structures, added emergency fire restriction authority, and clarified property owner responsibilities and retail operations. In 2025 and 2026, the City Council began additional discussions regarding fireworks regulations, allowing resident feedback, survey results, and concerns raised by emergency responders and neighboring jurisdictions. Workshop discussions included topics such as reducing discharge hours, limiting sales periods, or the number of retail stands, improving enforcement mechanisms, clarifying reckless discharge standards, enhancing educational outreach, reinforcing property owner responsibilities, and increasing consistency with neighboring communities. Council also discussed balancing longstanding community traditions and increasing wildfire risk, nuisance concerns, and emergency response impacts. The public comments reflected divided opinions within the community, with some residents supporting current regulations while others advocated for more restrictive measures or a full ban. The proposed ordinance would amend portions of Chapter 8.22 of the West Richland Municipal Code to reduce the allowable dates and hours of fireworks sales and discharge and update retail sales regulations, changing the issuing director from the finance director to the community development director, whose department includes the fire marshal. This ordinance is being presented to the City Council for the first reading and discussion. The ordinance is scheduled to return to the City Council on June 16th, 2026 for a second reading and considering final adoption. If adopted, the amendments would become effective in accordance with state and local state law and the timelines established within the ordinance 1 year from the date of adoption, so July 2027.
All right, thank you, Commander. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to comment on this particular item? And if so, please come to the podium. Once again, I ask that you state your name and address for the record. Kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes, please. Sir.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Jeff Herring. I live at 5901 West Latin Loop here in West Richland. I am here to oppose the proposed changes to the city's fireworks ordinance. I believe these changes will produce results opposite of the intention. First of all, limiting fireworks discharge to only July 4th concentrates all the activity into a single evening. Instead of spreading fireworks over several days, everyone who wants to celebrate will be doing so at once. That means more noise, more calls for service, and greater demand on law enforcement and fire personnel during a very short period of time. It also works against safety. Weather conditions don't always cooperate on the 4th. We saw that last summer when the high winds created concerns about fireworks use on the 4th. When families spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on fireworks and have only one legal day to use them, many will feel pressure to light them regardless of conditions. A larger discharge window would allow people to choose safer weather and spread activity across multiple days. I'm also concerned about the proposal to limit the number of stands or reduce the sales period. Fewer stands or stand hours means less competition, higher prices, and longer lines. It also encourages residents to purchase fireworks outside of the city. When people buy elsewhere, West Richland loses sales tax revenue. More importantly, it increases the likelihood that illegal fireworks are brought back into our community. If residents are already traveling outside the city to buy fireworks, some will inevitably return with products such as bottle rockets and firecrackers that cannot legally be sold here but are elsewhere. I would also note that concentrating fireworks into a single day creates a significant enforcement challenge. Fire and police resources can only respond to so much activity at one time. Spreading activity over several days reduces that burden and makes incidents easier to manage. Rather than adopting additional restrictions, I'd encourage the council to do the opposite and explore policies that expand options while promoting safety. Washington state law permits consumer fireworks discharge from June 28th to July 5th. Given that Washington's legislature is rarely accused of being too permissive when it comes to regulation, it seems worth asking why West Richland, a community that has historically valued personal responsibility and individual freedom, would choose to be significantly more restrictive than the state's own standard. At a minimum, the council should consider matching the full state-approved discharge window instead of reducing it even further. I would also encourage the council to explore even broader discharge windows or even year-round use of legal fireworks if that could be accomplished. When activity is spread out over time rather than compressed into a single holiday, there is less pressure to do everything on one night and fewer demands placed on emergency services at any one time. Finally, I would encourage the city to consider designating certain city-owned properties such as parks or parking lots as approved fireworks use locations. This would provide a place for residents and, more importantly, visitors to celebrate away from dense residential neighborhoods that they don't live in and would help concentrate activity in areas that are easier to monitor and manage. West Richland has long valued personal responsibility and common sense solutions. I believe expanding options rather than restricting them will better promote safety, encourage compliance with the law, support local businesses, and reduce unintended consequences. I respectfully urge you to reject these proposed restrictions, and I thank you for your time and consideration.
And no applause, please. Is there anyone else who would care to comment?
I am Harry Mays again. I live at 8413 Barlow Loop. I tried to say like the same thing that the gentleman said back there, but I just was not as articulate. But I just like to say that everything he said, it seems to be really true. No, it's not seems, it is true that West Richland is built on self-reliability. And so just for the acts of a few dummies, we should not all be penalized or whatever. Okay, thank you.
Tex Bender, 786 South 38th. I agree. I mean, this guy put this down. This was great. This was great. I mean, that's when we moved here from. We came 16 years ago from Seattle to get out of that. And we came here and we did all the research and knew, hey, they got fireworks. They got all these things. They got freedoms that the West Side doesn't give us, the freedoms that we were given by our creator. And that's why we're coming here. And so we chose to move. We could have moved any place else. We could have brought all of our money and everything else with us someplace else, but we came here. And we came here and we've been as citizens of this thing for 16 years. And we watch, this is what happens everywhere. This is what happens when you, over there, we watch the Californians come up from down south and destroy the West Side and bring all their policies there and turn that into a hellhole. And the city I grew up in, right, in Seattle, you can't even go down there anymore. I can't take my grandkids there, nothing, right? The freedoms are gone. They attack every little thing that we have. And you feel like you're living behind the Iron Curtain here. Because this is America, and we have constitutional rights, and we have freedoms, and our city should stand behind those freedoms. And we have those, and people come across from the West Side and bring their garbage with them, need to leave it back over there, because we don't want them here. We don't want those policies here. That's why we came here. That's why we escaped there. Now what do we have to do? Move to Idaho and take our money to Idaho? because that's what everybody's doing. My family, all my family left. I've been here, my family's been here since 1821. We were here before the Marcus Whitman. My family has, and we homesteaded this, and we are founders of this state. And to watch this, my sisters all left. They went to Florida, took millions of dollars with them. And I said, no, I'm staying because no one's chasing me out of my home. This is my home. 205 years. This is my family's home. And it's time we get accommodated. It's time the freedoms of the people get accommodated. And people, they're all, we got a crampdown on everything. You don't like it? You shouldn't have moved here. It was freaking right out there. Everybody knew. You got to do a little research. You know, you have that right here. And to infringe on everybody else's rights because someone doesn't like something, is not the way this country works. You know, that's democracy. We're not a democracy. We're a republic. And that's the difference in that thing. The democracy, they can outlaw what you want to do, your rights. And that's what's happening here. And we need to stop this and stop it now before people don't want to come here. You know, the people I told all the time, you come here, you get freedom. It's not what's happening. And we're losing it every time we turn around. From our firearms, from our parental rights, you know, the violations happen there. We're losing it everywhere. And the state is taking them from us. And it's time to stand up and say no, just like with the CCA. No more taxes because the whole thing was a hoax. It was wrong. And it's time we stand up. This government here, this city stands up for us, the people, and what we had here beforehand. Right? And that's just all I'm asking for. It's not, and I'm not angry at you. It's just, to me, it's just asinine that we allow people to come up and attack what we have. And we always kowtow to them. You know, there's a saying that I learned the other day. It's we get what we tolerate. And that's exactly what's happening. We tolerate here, and that's what we end up with. We end up with crap like Baltimore or Seattle or those places over there where you can't even go into the place anymore. And I grew up on those streets, going to the Laser Floyd and hanging out at Seattle Center and going to the carnival there and stuff. Can't do that anymore. Can't take my grandkids there. It's not safe. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Carrie Davies, 3706 South Lake Drive in West Richland, been there since 1993. We have 2.5 acres. It is not all in nice green grass. We have natural vegetation there as well. And I don't know that we've missed a 4th of July in the Tri-City since we moved here for 2 reasons. One is that we want to be in our home during that time and be responsible landowners. And 2 is because it's a great fireworks show. We don't have to go down to Columbia Park, to the river, fight the crowds. We come back, we sit in our backyard. When we started, we could see it all. But in 30 plus years, the trees have grown. So we don't get to see as much. So we like the ones that go up high, I guess, from that standpoint. Couple of things. I do also, though, want to be respectful for people who are concerned about the risk of fire and also for the noise. We have a dog. She comes out and sits with us, and that's what we've done. Thankfully, she's not had the reactions that I know other animals do, but we are there. We like the fact that we don't spend any money on fireworks now and we still get to enjoy the show. I'm asking that there not be changes to what the current ordinance is. I also want to point out that I saw that the city is going to be making an effort upcoming here to provide more education to the community about the risks of fireworks, the expectations around them. And I appreciate that the city is doing that too. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Deborah Humphreys, 4705 Collins Road. I'm in total support of revisions on fireworks that you are asking for. It is very reasonable. Thank you for your willingness to keep our community and our residents safe, please. Thank you.
Kelly Smart, about 4 South 54th. First of all, second to the first 3 or 4 speakers. They're awesome. I wanted to just kind of repeat, just go over what I want to say regarding the fireworks. The 3 restrictions and revisions I don't believe should be passed because I believe as well first, regarding the one reducing the number of days they're allowed with just 4th of July and just New Year's Eve. I believe as Americans, we should be allowed to safely celebrate on any occasion, whether it's a birthday or whatever, all the year, personally, using fireworks because they're part of our culture, they're part of our tradition, and they're And as long as they're safely used, it should be allowed. And it shouldn't not be restricted. I think regarding the restricting the number of days, the fireworks can be sold. That would not only cause a chaotic rush of customers in the short time frame that they're allowed to go get fireworks, but it would only encourage, as people have said, that to them to go to like the reservations, and do things illegally, so that would not really give a good effect, having reduction of days being sold. Reducing the number of stands allowed would hurt local businesses and would reduce the income not only for the cities, not only for the stand owners and the people running them, but also for the city that gets sales tax from the pyrotechnic sales. And many nonprofits and charities and organizations use fireworks stands as fundraisers, and reducing the amount of business stands that can go on, as I think was mentioned in the last meeting. Someone mentioned that the state or like the bigger businesses have first pick of the permits, and that would reduce the amount of local stands coming in. That could eliminate the charities and nonprofits from being able to get their permits because they don't have the ability to do so. So I think that would not be a good idea. So I strongly oppose revisions.
Thank you.
My name is Zachariah Kellogg. I'm at 7934 Cardinal Peak. Mayor and City Council, I recommend that you oppose this. It's my first year last year in West Richland with fireworks on the 4th of July, and it was amazing. The 4th of July is where we celebrate our freedom, breaking away from England, and celebrating our freedom of America and who we are as people and our ability to have freedoms. And taking that and constraining that would be un-American and against what we stand for. It was an awesome 4th of July last year. We had mortars go off behind us, around us, in every direction. We have 2 dogs that were scared of those fireworks. It's our job as dog owners, if that is your concern, to manage that. Raise your dogs to be around loud noises, or give them medication to get through it. That's your responsibility as a pet owner. It's not the responsibility of everyone around you to cater to your problems. I strongly recommend that you oppose it, and the safety of the city of West Richland and the towns around us. I mean, we're in Cardinal Peak, in that subdivision by the Aho Homes. There's houses stacked in there door to door, and I don't believe we had any fires. Am I wrong? There was no fires in our neighborhood. We had mortars falling all around us. We had all kinds of stuff in our yard. We cleaned it up and moved on to the next day and celebrated the 4th of July and the freedom that we have. And I think that we should keep doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Daryl Morrison. I live at 364 Northview Loop. I'm a veteran, and I totally agree why I celebrate. But the last 3 4th of Julys, I've had my 4th of July interrupted because of the idiots, like this guy says, that doesn't know how to use those fireworks. They started a fire in my neighbor's yard one year, the hill down before me. And by the way, I want to thank you guys I live right above the water retention basin out there on Northview Loop, and the city workers out there and knocked down all that cheat grass this year, which is, I'm glad they did, because I was always afraid that thing would come right up the hill and burn my house down. So, I heard all this stuff. I think they ought to be stricter, to tell you the truth. A lot stricter, because they're just, there's too many of those people out there that have no respect for the people around them or the houses around them. None whatsoever. I mean, like I said, this is 3 years in a row I had to run home from celebrating the 4th of July, which is something I really enjoy doing with my family, because idiots come around and try to burn my house down. So that's all I gotta say. Thanks.
Thank you.
Tammy Maruska, 2360 Meridian Avenue, West Richland.
You can lower the mic too if you want to make it. Yeah, there you go.
I'm here to say that I am in support of the fireworks laws being changed. I'm not sure what you see as funny, Mr. Bloom. Okay. I think that there needs to be some changes because we all have rights. And I get it that the veterans, and we've had this wonderful, great little community, bedroom college community here for several years. But we're not a community of 10,000 people. We had several close calls last year where people almost lost their houses. And I ask all 7 of you, do you want to be responsible for that? I know I wouldn't. I also know that there's a person on the city council who used to have a fireworks stand. They shouldn't be involved in these discussions at all. There needs to be fewer fireworks stands. People need to comply with the law. They shouldn't be setting them off 7 days before. They shouldn't be setting them off all day long. People have rights. I have rights. You all have rights. But there's a happy medium in between that. So there needs to be fewer days. It needs to be a mitigation of the safety and health hazards that are being created right now by the current conditions. And if that doesn't happen, someone's going to lose their property or their life, or someone's going to get seriously injured. And that's going to fall in this community because ultimately what will happen is someone's going to get sued. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jerry Boggs, 1802 Maplewood here in West Richland. I want to say that I love it that the folks who are pro fireworks have come out tonight, because in the last several meetings, when people have spoken about fireworks, they've essentially been for change or anti-fireworks. There are a lot of people that would just like to see them banned. Most of us are not that way. We want a better management of fireworks. The reduction in the number of days is one way to achieve that, as are some of the other proposals that the mayor came up with. So I support the mayor's proposal. I think we can still have a wonderful July the 4th without making it a 3-day holiday, which, by the way, is the only time we do that. I've never celebrated a 3-day Christmas, and which would seem to be potentially more important in some ways, especially to those who are of the Christian persuasion. So I thank these folks for coming on. I thank you for thinking about it. You're going to have some hard and heavy thinking to do over the next few weeks. We will have a meeting with Councilman Bloom on the 12th at Indulgences, 9 a.m. I welcome you folks to come out. I mean, it's a great chance to talk to the councilman and to the rest of us in a quiet, positive, polite atmosphere, have a good conversation. Thank you.
Good evening, Tina Gregory, Tri-Cities. This is our community, Tri-Cities. We're known together. And yeah, I don't live in West Richland, but I come and celebrate with family here each year in West Richland. And I live in Kennewick, and you know what? These are illegal. But that person said that there's no respect and people do bad things. They make bad choices. But you making it illegal is not going to make their choices any better. They're going to still make those bad choices. The aerials that you see around here are just as much in Kennewick, just as much in Pasco, and just as much in Richland. But they're all illegal in those areas. So I think when people are talking about how we need to make all these laws and take away more rights, just like the gentleman has said, the reason that people had to clap is because what he's saying is true. We need to take America back. America is for we the people. We need to put God first. And that would be something, all the other cities are praying before their meetings also. And I've asked you guys, why don't you think about praying before your meetings? So you do have a big choice. But the thing is those idiots are still going to be doing this, even though you make it illegal. And so if you educate people and stop trying to listen just to the ones that complain all the times, because there's a lot of people that don't even talk and they really enjoy this. This is a huge way to bring back unity in families. And so I just wanted you to really think about that and just remember that just because you make it against the law, they're going to still be doing it. Thank you.
I'm Bob Humphreys. I live at the bottom of Collins Hill. I didn't come here from Kennewick. I didn't move here from Seattle 12 years ago. I've always been here. My rights are as strong as anybody's. Twice, the people using safe, sane fireworks have very nearly burned my house to the ground. I don't like it. I think I support the changes. Any tiny crumb of a change would be a move in the right direction so far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm also a veteran.
Shannon By, 66705 North Canal Drive. I agree with this gentleman. I grew up here and I remember West Richland as a nice, quiet, reasonable town. And I kind of feel like they've wanted to adopt this image of, a beach town where you come here for fun and do whatever. And I think 4th of July is chaos. I frankly think there should be more restrictions on it. I would ban them if it were up to me. I've basically learned to hate the 4th of July as I've seen the changes throughout the years. I dread it. All I do is babysit my dogs. All I do is, I'm scared to leave home, on the 4th of July. You wouldn't dare leave your property unattended. I don't think everybody out there is a terrible person who doesn't use good judgment, but there's a whole lot of them. And I don't think leaving it up to the public to decide what the laws should be or thinking that if we make more laws, people are going to, still break them. I mean, that's like saying, well, we should, have free drugs everywhere. I mean, we've seen what that's done in the country. And, people, it just gets worse. If you have no laws, it gets worse. So, I find it funny that if you want to burn, you've got to call the clean air line because we don't want smoke and all this in the air, but we can have absolute smoke-filled air after 4th of July. And I think 3 days in particular is ridiculous. We don't celebrate any other holiday for 3 days. It's a one-day thing, no matter what it is, pretty much. So, I'm for safety. I'm for, what makes the community a nice community. I think this pulls people in from other communities that don't really belong here, because we have all these loose laws on 4th of July. So I am just for more restrictive measures. I'd like to go back to having a peaceful 4th of July instead of standing on my head every year. It's better than it used to be because I remember 15 years ago, it was a 3-week, 1 month free for all, and you couldn't walk. I started wearing earplugs and whatever, because I couldn't walk across my yard without boom suddenly that, makes you jump out of your skin and scares you to death. So I don't think it's has anything to do with whether in your heart you love the country or patriotic. I think it has to do with safety and being able to continue living in peace by having, less hysteria with fireworks. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jessica By. I live at 67004 North Riverview Road. I would just like to say I've heard a lot of me and I and what I want and what's good for me. And while I understand that this is America and we have personal freedoms, I don't see anyone concerned about not just the pets, but also farm animals, wild animals. I feel the same way. Like I have to babysit my dog for 3 days, even my guinea pig that lives in the house. I live near cattle, near horses. I just don't see anyone concerned about them, the birds in the air, animals have no idea what's going on. So I would be in support of any change that would limit this. I feel like I come from a neighborhood that's somewhat under patrolled, not monitored very much. There's just a lot of unsafe practices because no one's really paying attention out where I am. And even though a lot of these fireworks aren't legal where I am, they're there anyways because West Richland allows this. So I would just like to remind everyone that it's not always all about you. I just want to be a voice for
the animals that don't have voices, for people who don't have voices. Yeah, so thank you.
I'm Jeff Rang. I live at 4712 Kendall Way. To me, 3 days is excessive, and I'm about making it more, a balanced thing to where, I understand people want to let off fireworks. 3 days seems like too much to me for safety. It feels like I'm living in a war zone. We have 3 days currently. People are, they're not going to follow the rules. They're lighting them off beforehand, after the 4th. So it's like a week-long process. So it's too much in my opinion. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present that hasn't spoken that would care to speak? Seeing no one else, I'll turn to our virtual attendees. Those of you who wish to comment on this particular ordinance change that's been proposed may raise your virtual hand, or you may press *9 if you're calling from a telephone. Once again, I would ask that you identify your name and city of residence, and also please limit your comments to 3 minutes. I see no one attending virtually who wishes to comment. Do you see anyone, Stephanie?
I do not see any hands raised, no.
All right. So at this point, does council have any questions that have not been previously addressed in the staff report? No, there's not going to be any motion. Yeah, Councilman or Mayor Pro Tem Bloom.
Well, being the old guy on the council, I was on council when the first 4th of July went off, when we allowed aerials. I was on vacation when we had the workshop, so I didn't get to fill in. One of the things that happened in 2008, before I got on council, was that's when they opened it up to all legal fireworks in that the state called for. Prior to that, they had somewhat a safe and sane ordinance. And the police chief came to council and said, I was sitting in the audience like you, and came and said, I can't manage this because I don't know what's legal and not legal. Nobody knows what's legal and not legal. And I can tell you as a property owner up, where there's a lot of open brush, there were a lot of illegal fireworks being shot off, not just aerials, but they were rockets. And rockets are terrible because they're flaming arrows coming back to Earth. And there were a lot of fires set off by those rockets. And that's why they're illegal. Rockets, bottle rockets, those are illegal. And it was presented that mortars, are consumed in the air. But 2009 was correct. When I was on council, we had the room, I would say almost 3 times as many in our little council chambers down at the old city hall. It was packed wall to wall, people with bags of fireworks. And it was obvious that there was a problem. And, the discussions I've had with Chief Carlisle, there are some problems. There are some idiots. I will grant you, there are people that do not know how to shoot off fireworks and will cause fires. There are people that, shoot a firework under a tree, you'll get what you expect. But the key comes down to is in that meeting, I came up with the original 3-day for fireworks. And I wish to explain what the thought process was. Not every 4th of July is on a weekend. And so the thought process was, well, let's live some flexibility for weekend type of aspects. And a comment tonight that was made me rethink that thought. because it's true, like last 4th of July, it was windy. It was probably not the best to shoot fireworks off. And so rather than the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, maybe it's more appropriate for I always thought that it was appropriate to have a day before the 4th for people to test their thoughts of how they were going to shoot off their fireworks. So if we did do a change, I would suggest, as implied, that maybe changing it from 3rd, 4th, 5th would be appropriate. That way, if somebody, people would probably shoot them all off on the 4th. But if it's too windy, they could put it off to the 5th and not feel pressured. It also would still be that 3-day window, which means that unless the 4th of July is on a Wednesday or a Thursday, you'd get a weekend. So I don't know, that's one comment I would make, and some background on how we got to 3 days. Because it was, I can tell you, I was here in 2009. The full days, the full 28th through the 6th, it makes no sense. That's too long a period of time for shooting off fireworks. But the other question comes down to is one of the other historical aspects of fireworks stands was it was intended for nonprofits and not corporate. And we don't have that built in. I don't know if we can restrict to nonprofits, but local nonprofits, not these fake ones that can come from anywhere. And then thirdly, I want to dispel the rumor, and our finance director will confirm it. We get a whopping $10,000 in sales tax from fireworks sales. That's not much. And so it is not a profit center for the city of West Richland, to see the least. So those are my comments. I bring forward thoughts. I do believe there are many regulations which I've shared with council that are in place that are intended to address idiots. And we just need to impress upon them those regulations that thou shalt know what you're doing. We have a regulation that says the property owner has to approve it. That means all these people in rentals, did they talk to the property owner? That's a good question. So those are the kind of things, I think we have rules which can be implemented this 4th of July coming up. What rules we want to put forward for the future, I would propose that we shift the dates 3rd, 4th, and 5th rather than 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. That's my only thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Bloom. Any other comments or discussion, questions from council? I see Councilmember Moran.
Thank you. So first off, I would like to say thank you to everybody that has showed up. This is something that I know is a rather, I'm going to use a pun, explosive topic. So I appreciate you all being here because it can be extremely emotional. At the last meeting where we talked, I was starting to feel my emotions getting involved. So I think it's really important that we understand the value that we can come here and not come to blows about these things and get our voices out there to talk about it. Now, one thing that I will say overall is that there was something that somebody said that really struck me because I couldn't put my finger on what it was until they had said it. But I apologize, I don't recall your last name, ma'am, but Jessica had said that she had heard all of the me's and the I's, and I think that is really important. I do not think overall that we are selfish people. However, one listening to this meeting could come to the conclusion that there are a lot of people that are more concerned about their ability to have fun than people's ability to feel safe in their own home. I moved to West Richland because I had just left the military, 9 years in the Navy, and I wanted somewhere quiet. I wanted somewhere away from other people because I lived on an aircraft carrier, and there's so many friggin' people on an aircraft carrier. You don't want to be around anybody forever. So I was here. I got here in, I guess it was August of 2015. And I really, really liked West Richland. It was quiet. It was peaceful. The pastoral scenes of driving on bombing range to see the sheep in the field right there, to see the cows, the llamas. I loved it. Alpacas, apologies. Yes, alpacas. I sadly have to admit I still can't tell the difference between them sometimes. My bad. But it was a shock to my system when 4th of July showed up, when I was renting a home in Bird Hill, and my entire nervous system was on edge, and I felt like I couldn't escape to safety because of my PTSD. And I know that's on me. I get it. But the thing is, something that I've been thinking a lot about over the past many years now is the quote, "We live in a society. We're a community." This isn't about me, I. This is about us. How do we live together safely, peacefully, celebrating in a way that isn't going to affect our neighbors in such a way that they feel like their entire nervous system is on fire? How are we going to not have the wildlife, have birds flying out of their nests as fledglings because they're confused by all of the noise and by all of the loud lights that are going on all around them? And I know I sound like a tree hugger, and yeah, sure I am, because I care about my community. I care about not just me, but I care about you. The whole point, in my mind, of the city council is safety. And there may be some that say that it's not, but it's right there in the vision. Sorry, mission? Which one? One of them. There we go. Vision. The vision right there. West Richland is a growing city where family values and community responsiveness is important. The city shall grow in a balanced way to produce a safe, inviting community, having good residential and recreational alternatives and a healthy economic base. And it goes even further when we look at the mission. It talks about safety. I'm not saying that we need to wrap everybody in bubble wrap, but what I am saying is, can we at least be nice to each other and not feel like we have the ability to do whatever we want, even if it means somebody else is going through their own personal hell because of it? I spend hundreds of dollars to medicate my dog. Just one out of all of the animals has issues with the fireworks. Luckily, the VA can support me and pay for my medication so I don't have to pay for it. In the end, I know this seems like a lot, but I will say that I understand people wanting to be able to celebrate. I get it. But can we just be nice to each other and respect each other enough that we don't want to put each other through hell? Thank you.
Councilmember Moran. Other comments? Councilmember Smart? Or questions?
Well, I wasn't sure if I should make these comments now or in my comments section at the end, but since we're on a roll here, I thought I'd make them now, and they do apply to this topic, and so it's probably most appropriate. Mr. Herring, I could not have written a better speech. I agree with every single point. I have friends who have lived in the Midwest where there are no restrictions on fireworks. They have no problem with fire emergency response because it's not a forbidden fruit. People use fireworks on birthdays, to celebrate anniversaries, whatever. They know how to do fireworks. It's not something they only get to like sneak out and practice on the 4th of July. It's just a way of life. It's like knowing how to shoot a gun and pointing in the right direction, keeping your finger off the trigger until you're aiming at your target, et cetera, right? I mean, it's a responsibility that they've learned to cope with, and it's just not an issue. When he moved here, he couldn't believe that there are restrictions on fireworks. It was a foreign concept to him. So, and all of your other points are very good about, if we restrict the number of days, you're just hurting the nonprofits, you're hurting the competition, you're hurting people's ability to, have commerce, reducing to one day, you're still going to have fireworks. Those fireworks are going to be purchased in other places. The concept of them being likely illegal fireworks at that point increases. All your points. I encourage people to go back and listen to Mr. Herring's talk. It was stellar. Mr. Bender, I totally agree that we are a republic. I would just add that we are a constitutional republic, as I'm sure you would agree. The problem with calling ourselves a democracy is that as a democracy, people can vote their rights away. 51% of the people say there should be no more cars. Presto, no more cars. In our constitutional republic, we have a constitution, which is the superior law of the land. And just to remind everybody, whether it's about fireworks or not, those rights cannot be voted away. By the way, I'm not sure that lighting off fireworks on the 4th of July is a constitutional right per se, but just to make sure that that is what everyone's understanding is of this country we live in, is a constitutional republic with democratically elected leaders. I had a point here that Mrs. Davies pointed out that providing education about fireworks. I have said to the fire chief, the police chief, the representatives in this city, that it seems that there are people that don't know how to use a firework. They don't understand that if there's a 12-mile-an-hour wind and you launch something in the air, it's not going to come down where you launched it from. Education is important. I would absolutely support ways to educate our high schoolers, the people who are going to be buying fireworks and celebrating in the future. I don't know if they don't learn physics or what, but it's appalling to me that people don't know that if you just, put a hot ember into a field of dry grass, that's going to catch on fire. That seems obvious. Just to segue, the next comment I have is there was a comment that said how badly we would feel responsible for if a house burns down, how bad council would feel responsible. You know what? I'm sorry, but if you're T-boned in an accident or injured for life in a car, I'm not responsible for that. No way. No way. We are here if we have law enforcement officers. Your safety is something that we all as Americans take ourselves to be responsible for. If you have a fire hazard around your home, and I'm fully aware of the situations of some of the members of this audience have fire hazards around their homes, mitigate them. That's what I do. That's what you've done. I've seen it. It's very good. I appreciate that. That's our responsibility. If you have a pet, or you have an animal or something that can't handle a celebration of fireworks, mitigate it. I did that my whole life. Had multiple German Shepherd dogs. They seem to be terrified of fireworks. It's what I have to do. So I mean, let's make sure we clearly define where the responsibilities lie. We can provide ordinances, but none of these ordinances in this particular proposal are going to eliminate the things I hear people being concerned about. It's just not. There's still going to be a fire hazard. There's probably more of a fire hazard. And I really like the comment about how if you compress everything into one day, that's just going to make it worse, especially with the comment about weather, which Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Bloom pointed out. That's a serious concern. I mean, if you do invest in a lot of fireworks, you're going to be forced to want to light them off on the one day, even if there's a 10-mile-an-hour wind. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. So those were my those are just comments I had on the comments that the audience had tonight. I do really appreciate both sides expressing their opinion. It's been an excellent discussion. There could be future ordinances or recommendations that I might support, but not these. None of these are going to have the impact you're all hoping for. I'm just actually sort of surprised that these got brought forward. This is not the thing to do. I think there was a suggestion about actually expanding the number of days that fireworks can be launched, and that would decompress the situation. And I believe that, and I have, secondhand experience from a fellow that I know who claims that's exactly the case. So those are my comments about this, and I do appreciate the conversation. I do want everybody to be responsible for themselves and their home, the condition of their home, the condition of their pets. And as far as it sounding selfish, to want to continue a 250-year tradition of launching fireworks on the independence of our nation's birthday, Independence Day, I would ask myself, who's being selfish? So thank you for your time and consideration.
Councilmember Stoker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Been sitting here debating whether or not I was going to speak to this. So I've read it on the West Richland Residents Facebook page, and it was mentioned tonight as well. I am the one who used to operate a fireworks stand. In 2016 and 2019, at those times, I did recuse myself from voting on those elements. I am no longer encumbered by those requirements to recuse myself. And so as such, I don't see why I still need to recuse myself at this time. I'm just going to be open and upfront with that. I find it inappropriate for me at this time to recuse myself in a situation where I should be voting on something. So I just want that to be out in the open. I am not encumbered in that way anymore. So thank you for that opportunity, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Stoker. Councilmember Ritchie.
Thank you, Mayor. So I said one time that we live in a desert. I've been reminded of that a couple of times, and it's still true. We live in a desert and it can burn. The one thing that I was encouraged by when I looked at these ordinances was the one that said increasing consistency with neighboring communities. I believe that what we have done is we have created a mess for ourselves between the entire Tri-Cities. People drive out here to set fire to our fields. Okay. I believe that we are responsible for making sure that doesn't burn my house down, but I do believe that we have made a bad situation worse. And to that end, I believe that's what we need to do, is to work together with our sister cities to address this issue such that we have a safe situation that we can live with. I'm not convinced that what we have in the proposal is that solution. But by the same token, I agree with Councilman Smart. 250 years, that's a big deal. We have now lived longer than most every republic in history. Okay, so to that end, I'm going to celebrate it. How I'm going to do that, I don't know. But I believe that we need to take and work with our sisters to make sure that we're all not making it worse for each other, if that makes any sense at all.
Right. Thank you, Councilmember Ritchie. Once again, since tonight's agenda is the first reading, there will be no action taken on this item tonight. It will be on the agenda for the June 16 council meeting, and it will be presented for final action by council. So we don't have any unfinished business this evening. We don't have any new business either. So this is the second, seems like more than that, but it is the second opportunity for public comment. So once again, if you wish to come to the podium, please do so. State your name and address for the record. Kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes.
I just wanted to comment. My name's Tex Bender, 786 South 38th Avenue. You're talking about compromise. You did, right? And we've done that. We were 3 weeks. We've gone down to 3 days. Now it's 1 day. And the next thing will be is no days. That is compromising. That is working with the people. That is trying to help these people get by, right? You know, people, we all suffer from all kinds of stuff. You know, daily, I have like 5 heart attacks a day. And I survive and go on and work and do my thing, right? But I'm not expecting my neighbor to deal with my problems. That's my problem. Just like you guys aren't responsible if you don't pass this law. The idiot who shot the fireworks into someone's house is responsible for burning the house down, right? It's not your guys' responsibility, right? Your responsibility is to make sure that we're safe, right? But we haven't got that. We can't. How are we going to patrol this when they can't even patrol the streets and get the speeding down? They can't even control the speed limit on for a house. We've asked a jillion times, can't happen. So how are the police going to do that? How are the police going to take care of all these things? They didn't do it last year. They came out and saw our next door neighbors blowing them off early. They told him, no, don't do it. The guy was drunk. And they should have slapped him in the head, took him away. That's what I'd have done with him. But we don't do that. We don't ever make held anybody responsible for their actions anymore. Nothing, right? But the reality is we have given 3 weeks, 3 days, 1 day, and it'll be no days. And that's how it always works. It's slowly a creep that it takes away everybody else's right. Because reality is what you see here and what the comments you're getting are not the majority of these people. Most of these people don't have a clue this is going on in our city. They're sitting back going, they haven't got a clue what day you guys meet. They haven't got a clue who you are. You had signs everywhere. You don't know who you are. I mean, reality, they go, wow, if you haven't been there, you don't know who he is. You don't know. And so that's what you see. And so many people haven't got their voice put in. We have little groups that get together and do a little thing, and we always let them manipulate everything, right? We see that with everything from gay rights to, we're going to take this gun thing away, even though the Constitution says you can't do it. We're going to take this, and it just slowly ekes, and it's gone. And day after day, we're seeing what's happened. What's the consequences of those? You served, and I'm glad you served, and thank you for your service. But that doesn't mean we have to give up ours all the time. It doesn't always have to be us giving, because that's what happens. We give up this now, rifles. We gave up this, now we gave up this. We gave up parental rights, right? And or taken away from them, actually. Even after 103 years of precedent, the Supreme Court says you can't do it. But the state did it anyway. And that's what happens all the time, is we give. And like I said, we get what we tolerate. And that's what happens. We keep tolerating, try to get along. And the one side that wants the freedoms never wins, because they always are willing to give up. We'll help these people. We'll coddle them. We'll babysit them. We'll make sure that they're taken care of, that they get menstrual days off. We get baby leave off for 6 months, and we pay for it. And it's tiring. It's ridiculous. For once, let's just hold on. We gave away 3 weeks. We give away the 3 days now. When do we quit? When do all the other people? 3 minutes. Thanks, Fred.
Thank you.
Okay. I promise this is my last time saying anything about fireworks, because I'm finna go somewhere that I usually don't like to go, because I like to live by my own merits. My name is Harry Mays. I stay at 8413 Ballard Loop, right around the corner from that gentleman. And he is right. But I'm about to say something, so I'm trying to hurry up really fast. Okay, I'm from Augusta, Georgia, the Deep South. My father, he served in the military for 27 years. He is a veteran of the Vietnam War. He went to a place, came home, nobody really cared about him, right? Sorry. But that man always celebrated the 4th of July. And he was in a place where he wasn't respected, served his country, same as my grandfather, same thing. And they celebrate the 4th of July. And if we know about the real history of this country, I mean, they had every right to be like, we're not celebrating the 4th. But they did, every year. Every year that I've been on this earth, 51, not as much as some people, but we look at 4th of July as a very great holiday, no matter what. And I think if my grandfather, my dad, who went and served this country and at times were treated less than human, if they can celebrate the 4th of July with fireworks, I mean mega fireworks, and they were in the middle of wars, that, hey, a couple of days that us, people, we can deal with it. and I really don't like to go there. So I apologize if you feel like I took it somewhere, but that is another reason why I am so passionate about fireworks and 4th of July, because every year in my life, I've always seen and heard the speeches from my grandfather and my father about what happened. So thank you.
Thank you.
I was Jeff Herring, 5901 West Latin Loop. I was planning on perhaps hoping to come back next meeting and put together some more thoughts on the fireworks topic. But in case I'm not able to, and also just before these moments are forgotten, I wanted to address Councilmember Moran. You shared, some nice anecdotes about you moving here, enjoying the idyllic scenery, spun a nice story around that. You mentioned that you were renting, and then you experienced the 4th of July and how horrible it was to you, yet you still opted to purchase in West Richland. So in that vein, I would say you knew what you were getting and you still decided this city was the place to go. Also, Councilmember Ritchie, I appreciate your comments around working with the sister cities and trying to get everybody into the same loop. As you do that, I would encourage that you try to pull them more towards what we're doing, where they make fireworks, all fireworks that are legal in Washington, legal in their cities, because their residents are already setting them off there. But to your point and other people's points, they come here as well. So if that was adopted around the Tri-Cities, where what we're doing is also happening in Richland legally, Pasco legally, Kennewick legally, that would take the burden off of our city. And so that's your jobs, is to work with your counterparts on those councils. Councilmember Smart, Councilmember Stoker, Councilmember Bloom, Mayor Brink, all of you, thank you for, your additional comments on this and your passion around the topic. Sorry, I meant to say Councilmember Cole. Thank you. I really hope that we don't give up, to this gentleman's point, we don't give up what we've got, because it is that continual slide. And then I do believe that it's a Trojan horse to just eventually eliminate them. When you hear the people that are against them talking tonight, they want them gone, by and large, not all of them. And so if we just keep giving inch after inch, it becomes a mile hole deep hole that now it's gone. So please preserve it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Terry Davies, 3706 South Lake. And 2 points. One is in consideration of making some changes for the city and the community, I would definitely be in favor of looking at the community as sponsoring something as well, or whether it's in spaces or community-sponsored events, chamber, someone looking to do something to bring the community together, to be nice neighbors, and to have a place where we could celebrate together too. I would encourage neighbors to talk to each other prior to the 4th of July weekend. That's part of the education piece, I think, to talk about it. Talk about what the plan is for cleanup, for safety, for hoses available, all of those things. And then I want to say that there are other holidays that are celebrated more than one day. Thank you.
Zach Kellogg, Cardinal Peak, 7934. I have a couple questions. I didn't get a chance to read the entire ordinance. If the resolution does move forward, what is the plan for the fireworks show that is currently put off by the city of West Richland?
We do not respond to questions directly. However, at the conclusion of the meeting, we may be able to address some of the things that you're requesting.
Okay. In the event, in that case, then, if the resolution is passed, is the city of West Richland entirely going to shut down all of their fireworks as well and not hold one? The city of Richland, the city of Pasco, and the city of Kennewick all hold the fireworks show still, even though they have banned and made illegal the aerials in those cities. They still put them off in massive arrays. I don't see how a city having the ability to do it, but the people of the city not having the ability to do it makes any sense at all. A question to the fire chief, for volunteers to teach people about fire safety during fireworks. Is there a system that can be set up for that, or a community place such as like Flat Top Park where we can go to set off together that can be put out? There are other resolutions that are, abilities for us to keep the law we currently have in place, but still make it safer for us to have them and be proactive and show, hey, we aren't just saying, hey, we want to keep them, but not doing anything to make things safer, which is the goal. What things can we do to make it safer, but keep the ability to have our fireworks and celebrate our freedoms? Because our freedoms are taken from us bit by bit and never at large. So I don't want to lose them bit by bit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly Smart, 400 South 54th. I just want to thank everyone coming to speak tonight. It is important for citizens to attend and participate in these meetings. I love seeing people here. I wanted to say that I observed every single, my observation was that most of the pro-fireworks positions on this were focused on how these restrictions will impact others, not themselves. Like every pro-fireworks speaker spoke about local businesses, everyone's individual liberty to celebrate safely, and preserving our nation's traditions and culture, focusing on how it impacts everyone as a whole and not just ourselves. People say that this is a reasonable proposal, but I strongly disagree. It is my impression, I'm not sure, but that this, if it were to pass, it would not be reversible. Maybe it would be, who knows, but we can't go back. So in 5 years, when nothing changes and it gets worse because of these restrictions and everything, and those who don't want fireworks continue to complain and get amplify that, would that push ban altogether? Will West Richland no longer be allowed to celebrate at that time because it's keeping it shorter and shorter of restrictions? Long be allowed to celebrate. I strongly agree that every individual is responsible for their own safety and their own issues. Finally, I think the only positive change or continued practice would be to continue education on fireworks safety for the public and continued effective law enforcement for those using fireworks outside of the current laws and regulations, all those doing bad things, just be more enforced on those or use them responsibly. I think that also having the ability to put on community fireworks show at parks and having a group event would be a good mediator to maybe take those doing fireworks in the residential areas and I don't want to do it. We'll go to a big park and have a big show and everyone go together, and it could be a good spot for like small businesses that come and have a whole party all as a community instead of all separate. So thank you.
Thank you.
Shannon by 66705 North Canal Drive. I just want to say that I am not for having people's freedoms taken away. What I personally think has taken place is that West Richland let this get so out of control years ago where it was up to a month of hysteria with fireworks. I remember even one August, some firework went off and caught a fence near me on fire, a month and a half after 4th of July was over. And I think and the whole front of Flat Top burned one year. And I thought, good grief, they'll learn their lesson finally. Nope, they didn't. But I think what's going on is that it got so out of control. Now, if you want to dial it back to what I think is normal, people think their rights are being taken away. I don't see it that way. I see it as being normal. Maybe one day is normal. I'm not particularly for them at all because I just think they're too dangerous. But I don't see it as taking your rights away when you're trying to dial it back to what's normal. Councilmember Moran, I think you're right on with everything you're saying. So I just think normal is not taking people's rights away.
Thank you.
I've worked in Indiana, I've worked in Iowa, I've worked in other states where they're absolute free-for-alls, fireworks all year long. I've driven around Kennewick, I've driven around Pasco, I've driven around Richland, I've driven around Hermiston, I've driven around a lot of places. None of those places look like this place, where you've got yellow grass right up to your back pockets. The BLM owns the property. The BLM owns 35 acres of that property right above my hill. Nobody does anything. Nobody cares for it. Nobody mitigates the hazard. West Richland is different than all those other places. West Richland has got a higher probability of burning than those other places. So if you want to mitigate a hazard, do something. Mitigate a hazard.
Thank you. Anyone else present, council, that would care to make a comment? Seeing no one here, I will turn to our virtual attendees. Is there anyone attending virtually who would like to make a comment? If so, please raise your virtual hand. You may also press star 9 if you're calling by telephone. I would also ask that you identify yourself by name and city of residence for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. I see no one attending virtually raise their hand. Is that the same for you, Stephanie?
I do not see any hands raised, no.
All right. Thank everyone for their public comment this evening. We'll now turn to staff and council reports. Are there any staff members who would care to make a report? I'll start with Community Development Director Mendenhall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I just wanted to let everyone know that the open house that was held last Thursday night was attended fairly well, considering it was a planning event. Usually we don't get a whole lot out. Got more tonight than we did for that meeting. We had about 20 to 25 people show up, come in, ask questions, some of which were here this evening. I appreciate them coming and just providing feedback to us on the periodic update, comprehensive plan changes that are coming our way, thanks to the state legislature. We'll also be at Wednesdays in West tomorrow night, so we'll be down there. We invited the community to come here, which is one thing, and some people do that, but they don't always want to come. So we're going to go down there to them and try to reach out to them as well as part of the outreach for the periodic update. So we'll be down there at Wednesdays in West. Come on down, get your favorite beverage, food, whatever it might be. Go shop at the trinket stores that are going to be there. It's going to be a great event. There's, I believe, a live band. If Councilmember Fetto is here, he'd be able to fill us in on all of the details. But they are always a good time at Wednesdays in West, and just wanted to mention that. Also, wanted to mention Ms. Davies brought up, and a couple others brought up public displays. The Red Mountain Event Center will be hosting a firework display this year, so you can go on their Facebook page and find out what the deals they've got going on. And if you're wanting to participate in that, you can purchase tickets and go to that as well. So there's other options. Just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mendenhall. Public Works Director Slade.
Thank you, Mayor Rink. We had a record tonight. I think in 27 years, I don't think ever I can remember getting more than one comment on the 6-year transportation improvement program. We have 4, so that's a new record. It'll be tough to beat. And for those that have stayed and talked about South 38th improvements, yes, it's on the list. It's number 13. I'd love to be able to get a state or federal grant to extend those curb gutter sidewalks, bike lanes down there. Also on the list is project number 21, which is the 38th Avenue Bridge that goes over the canal. It's got a weight restriction on it, and love to get that replaced. But unfortunately, the state's programs for bridges is underfunded, and too many bridges in the state that need fixing. So our bridge isn't bad enough, even though it's posted, but we'll continue to try to get funding. Some of those improvements that you see further down on 38th, those were built by the developer. We required them as part of their development. We're working on the older part of towns to get those same standards down there. So we're not giving up. We'll keep looking. Mr. Barlow, Ben Franklin Transit, Eric and I have been meeting with several of the representatives to get better transit service out here. We continue to still put bus pullouts and different things throughout the city in anticipation the routes are coming. We're not waiting for the routes. We're putting the infrastructure in to have it. So when we get those routes, we'll be ready for them. And lastly, I think a gentleman talked about Keene Road. Yeah, if you live on the south side, you can't get to the regional pathway safely unless you kind of go through the back way through the neighborhoods and you come out here to Belmont, you can cross. The good news is you'll see end of this year, beginning of next year, construction on a traffic signal at Keene and South Highlands. That was funded through a state grant, so that'll give people a safe way to cross Keene Road. The other improvements that are coming, Keene Road widening to 4 lanes is fully funded through about 8 different funding sources. So look at 2028, 2029, takes a little time for the design, but basically Keene Road will be widened from Bauman Range all the way to Van Giesen to 4 lanes. You'll see some wetland mitigation that happens widening there at the South Highlands Pond later this year. And you'll see curb gutter and sidewalk on the south side, so people have a Safeway separated sidewalk on the south side, which will make it nice stepping away from that and continuation of the bike lane. So big improvements coming. Keene Road SR 224 Red Mountain project is still moving ahead of schedule and under budget. Next council meeting, there'll be an amendment coming between the city and DOT. It's a $34 million project that the city has got at $7.7 million under budget. And the good news is Mayor Brink and I were at the state capitol earlier this year and successful in getting a budget amendment or budget proviso. So that 7.7 million, approximately about 6 million will stay in West Richland. And that's what's helping fund the Keene Road widening. So instead of going to an I-5 project that's over budget and out of schedule, it's going to stay here and we're getting rewarded for doing good work. With that though, there is a new detour coming up and this one's going to
cause consternation.
Yeah. So I'm supposed to do a sandwich. I messed it up. I was supposed to put it in the squeeze there. So Keene Road roundabout, that's the next one they're going to jump and do. The Paradise intersection is open, that roundabout where you can get across. So if you're trying to get to Benton City, there'll be a shoe fly lane. So if you come in from Benton City into West Richland, there'll be a shoe fly lane like they had at Rupert that it's going to shoot you going west toward the wineries and Red Mountain. And then you'll have to come across to Paradise through the roundabout up the hill and come down Belmont. So if you're trying to get from South Richland down Keene Road to get to Benton City, you need to turn north at Belmont here. Traffic to the school, TLAC and Benton RA will be allowed, but you'll have a hard closure right there at Benton RA's new offices. That is not going to start until right now. It's Monday, June 22nd. So everybody that's planning on attending Benton RA's annual meeting on the June 20th will not have a massive detour. So Benton RA's appreciated that. But so Monday, that'll be a change. People are going to get excited because it's something new. But just like everything else, once they get used to it, it'll go good. And there'll be some reader boards to remind you as you're coming down Keene Road to turn and head to the north. But so a lot going on in the next few years, especially down the Keene Road corridor. And stay tuned. And if you have more, look at our website. There's always updates on that. So.
All right. Thank you, Director Slade. I'll turn to council now. Any council members have comments? I'll start down at the end with Mr. Ritchie. Councilmember Ritchie, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. I'll go do it real fast. Attended a Port of Kennewick meeting this week, and it's really good. They're moving and shaking, and they're doing a lot of projects, smaller though they are. One of those, though, is the Mid-Columbia Children's Museum. So just as we talked that expressed interest in doing that here in West Richland, they're wanting to do it over in Kennewick as well. So we'll be competing with them on that. We'll also have a Native American powwow coming up here real soon, 2027. So, and then fireworks. One of the things that I keep seeing is that it's about a third, a third, a third. You've got about a third that want them, you got about a third that don't, and you got about a third that don't care. And that shows up again and again and again, whether we're talking about the city survey or discussions, etc. It shows up every time. So this is going to be a tough call for us to have to make here. The last thing I'll talk about is data centers. There's a real good article in this month's Epic Times. And what did it tell me? It told me that there are 4,900 data centers in the United States right now. So there's a bunch of them. Well, what does that mean? That means those questions you've got have probably already been answered. Environmental impact statements are done for every one of these. And so I encourage you, and especially for those that are in the state of Washington, if you got questions, and I'm going to do my own personal digging, and I'll bring it back to you, but I encourage you to do your own personal digging and go look at the environmental impact statements. What about the water? Well, it's going to be addressed in there. Well, what about the power? Well, it'll probably be addressed in there too. What about the roads? It's going to be again and again and again. So most of the things that you've got questions about, it's going to be in those environmental impact statements. And with that, and the one last thing I'll say then is that there are no non-disclosure agreements between the city, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Mayor, between the city of West Richland and any of the data centers. So there's nothing hidden from the citizenry here in West Richland. And the mayor has gone on record that we will be transparent. If it's happening, you're welcome to know it. You'll probably hear it in here. You'll see it on our website if you can get your way around it. And so anyway, okay, I'll shut up. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Ritchie. I'll turn to Councilmember Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, this is a long laundry list, so settle in. Okay, it's not quite that bad. I just, a couple of things I want to say. Welcome to Officer Yost. Anytime we get a good, solid addition to our police force like that, we need to stand up and say Yahoo. So welcome to her from me. Secondly, and Roscoe talked about them, the Van Giesen corridor improvements. If you haven't been down there, I'm not asking us to all go start a traffic jam, but I think it's a good slice from Belmont out to Paradise. Give you a good feel for how that's all going to look when it's all done. It drives real nice, and for a lead-foot guy like me, gotta watch your speed because it just feels good to cruise. Citizen feedback. I am grateful for everybody that shows up here. As a new guy on council, I've shown up out here before and said what I really felt like I needed to say. I appreciate the fact that people feel maybe you're uncomfortable doing this, but you feel comfortable enough to approach this council and know that we're approachable. I know that may sound like platitudes, but I guess what I'm saying is I appreciate the fact that we keep it civil. At least we have to date anyway. And I think there is a place for appropriately applied public pressure. I'm okay with feeling the heat from people. And I welcome that. I think I can take it. The next thing I would move on, I'm rambling here, but I made a list, is I'm always intrigued by, and I don't know who provides it to us, with the city report from the police department. And one of the things that I'm always impressed with is concealed pistol licenses. As a former police officer and somebody who takes their personal safety very seriously, I'm encouraged by it looks like our numbers are going up. I don't know if those are renewals or if they're new licenses or both. But I look at the number, we're on track to exceed last year's total, which exceeded 2024's total. And for whatever that's worth, I applaud people for taking responsibility for their own personal safety, being lawfully, responsibly armed. An armed society is a polite society. I want to thank the city for putting the fireworks information out on the city webpage. When somebody like my wife notices it and makes a comment to me, I want to tell her, hey, I'm the new city council guy, but I get credit for that, but I don't. Wednesday in West, that's tomorrow. Been to the first one, and I would say that the chamber has done a really good job of getting that kicked off. It's supposed to get better, again, with live music and some of the things they've got planned. I encourage everybody to come out and check it out. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Cole. I will go to my right, Councilmember Stoker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Councilmember Cole did kind of reference one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight, but so my daughter from North Carolina was home this past weekend, and my son was home from England, where his wife is stationed in the Air Force. And I was taking him around, show him all some of the new stuff that's around here, new buildings, expansions, the developments and all that. And we did drive down Belmont, down the Belmont area, went around the roundabout, had to go up Belmont because I understand there was a natural gas line that was cut into or something down here, so we had to turn around and come back up to Paradise. But I was impressed with that road too. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of Van Giesen look like that. I know we've still got 3 more roundabouts to go. I know a lot of citizens were complaining about 5 roundabouts in a row at 5 intersections contiguously, but I don't have a love-hate relationship with a roundabout. But my son commented that they're all over in Europe, and he thinks they're great. So I hope that helps with the traffic. Make sure we can keep traffic flowing well. I do also appreciate all the comments that were made tonight. Been taking notes with them. And I certainly hope that we can work well together, even if we do disagree. Sorry if this makes anyone uncomfortable, but Mr. Humphreys, I remember you when I was in my first campaign. I stood at your doorstep and talked to you. And there were several things that you said to me in our conversation that have stuck with me since. So I I can talk to you afterwards. But I just feel there are probably many things that we all agree on, and there are a few things that we will disagree on, and probably they're not all the same. We're all just different. We all have our different passions. We all have our different interests. So I hope we can still get along and move along after this is all over with. So with that, thank you for the time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Stoker. Councilmember Moran?
Thank you. So first, I would also like to echo driving along Van Giesen pretty much once a week. I drive down all the way down Van Giesen because I have to get through town to the police station for an appointment on Tuesdays. So yeah, I'm digging the improvements and hoping that I don't accidentally also get my lead foot stuck in front of somebody with some flashy lights. Please don't follow me, Commander. Okay, good. So thank you again to the crew for that. I'm also really glad to hear that we're going to be getting some crosswalks along Keene because absolutely right. I have noticed that it looks terrifying if you would like to walk across Keene. There's such a vast space where there's no safe way to cross it. So being able to get a crosswalk there is very important. So thank you for getting that. And also for the improvements that we can look forward to for 38th. I think that will also benefit because it's been a long time coming. So let's see. Things that I've been to lately. I was at the Housing Continuum of Care on the 28th. They always do a real good job there at the Benton Health Department or Health District. Then I would like to thank the group that asked me to meet with them at Indulgences. If anybody wants to meet, I can only speak for myself, but if anybody ever wants to come and talk or have me come have a conversation, please ask, and I will absolutely do whatever I can to make certain that I can, because I really want to talk to folks. Being up here and not knowing what people think is terrifying. I don't want to do something just because it's what I think is right. I want to make sure that it's right for the community. And if you don't talk to us, we have no way to know. I can guess, I can try and reach out to folks, but people don't like somebody knocking on their door. So if you don't want me knocking on your door asking for your information about how you feel about something, reach out. Say hello. Ask if I want to say hi. Meet with folks. I'm very available. Let's see. So then after that meeting I had on the 30th, coming up, there is the Ben Franklin Transit Board on the 11th. Thank you, Mr. Barlow, for being here. And just like what staff said, we're really looking forward to continuing to work with BFT to make sure that we can get some more connectivity out here, especially because of what's going on in Prosser and Benton City. I think it's really important to be connected so that we can provide that service better for us here in the city. Then we've got the Ben Franklin Council of Governments meeting on the 12th. That's next week on Friday. So BFT on Thursday, and then on Friday next week, BF COG. And that's what's coming up. I will say I appreciate that it was noted that I was renting when I was in Bird Hill. I will say that I was renting in Bird Hill from January until July while my house was already being built. So I had already put down the money to have my house built before I had been here for 4th of July. But I appreciate the looking out for me. I like it. I like attention to detail. So thank you for that. Yes. But one thing also that I really would like to highlight is what, as Davey said, and I think that others have said it as well. I think it is a fantastic idea. I think that it fits with our community. You know, we can talk about fireworks as a way to celebrate, but honestly, the best way to celebrate is to come together as a community. We have had great community celebrations in the past that haven't had them. And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to have just a massive celebration to celebrate our independence. We could have it on multiple days, have it at Flat Top, have it at other parks, just to celebrate, be around our community, converse with people, eat with people, meet people that we may not even realize are our neighbors. I think it's a fantastic idea. And it really shows that, you know, if we work together and we talk these things out, we can find ways that we can work together to really enjoy the sense of community that we have. I think it's a great idea. So hopefully we can work forward to having that because, man, I tell you, I think that this city could definitely do a really big blowout, no pun intended, celebration for Independence Day. I mean, we do Harvest Fest, we do Take Back the Night. We could do Independence Day real good here in West Richland. I'm thinking hot dogs, hamburgers. Yeah. But other than that, my final note is I would like to just say welcome to Pride Month. And I say that as somebody who I don't like wearing my rainbow on my sleeve, so to speak. But I will say that I have continually been happily surprised because there's a lot of fears that people have being different and that they might be othered. But I will say that I have seen nothing but support from my council members, from the staff here. I have never felt othered, whether they've known or not that I'm not exactly the straightest person. So I would just like to, again, lean heavily on that acceptance and that community, especially going into Pride Month, being proud that we are the community that we are, and we are a community of so many different people that can get along together. And I'm ending on a fluffy bunny note, but woo, yay, West Richland. All right.
Thank you, Councilmember Moran. Councilmember Smart.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, citizens. Just a couple notes, try to be brief. There was a discussion about the climate science was wrong. I couldn't agree more. I've been saying that for like 20 years before climate science was even a thing, because I used to do atmospheric chemistry and the whole thing's been a joke, but now other people are coming to realize that. It would be great if we could avoid this in Washington State, but if you talk to our planner, I'm sure he'd be happy to brief you on how important it is so that we can get some of our tax dollars back in the form of grants. I don't agree with the system. I don't agree with the hoops we have to jump through. It's absurd, but right now we're still stuck with it until our state changes to some other more reasonable form of governance. It's just craziness. Now, some of the things, however, that we might implement for quote unquote climate resiliency are not all bad. We've managed to get some actions in there that are actually things we might have done anyways, like bicycle paths or, you know, whatever. There's a bunch. I just actually sent a list to Mr. Mendenhall this afternoon. So we are pretty good, I think, as a city at sort of being compliant and still not being terribly unreasonable. So we're working that, and we understand the sentiment amongst many of the citizens on that topic. I want to recognize that I've gotten more than one email concern about data centers. We've discussed this many times. There is no current proposal, but I do like the idea of doing our research. I like the idea of citizens continuing to bring the specific points of concern that may affect how we would approve or disapprove a data center. And I like the idea of the Tri-Cities getting together and coming up with a reasonable set of expectations for any data center that comes in, because if one locates in Kennewick and has a fire and contaminates Kennewick city water or something like that, why that impacts us too. So I like that general thought. It's not an issue right now though, because we don't have a proposal on the table, but it is obviously swirling around and may come and land in one of our communities. So I will just say that I think that in the conversations I've had with other council members and citizens and staff, I mean, everybody has these concerns about about a data center impacting our quality of life, especially in critical ways like groundwater contamination or noise or smell or something like that, right? So I just state that I mean, your concerns are not unfounded and they're heard, and when we have the reason, to address this in an official way, because there will be a proposal that comes in, then I'm sure that we will take all these actions to mitigate any impact that a data center might have. I'm not one to say we absolutely shouldn't have one, but I am definitely someone that would say that it cannot negatively impact us, whether it's operating normally or abnormally. Like, again, if there's a fire or an emergency, or if there's waste discharge. The question was asked, what's in it for West Richland? That's a great question. Now, initially, when this topic first came up, there was thoughts that there'd be a lot in it for West Richland. Not just a few jobs, but also tax dollars based on equipment that gets bought within our city limits. So but I've heard recently that there was a Washington state law, and I asked this question last time, and I'm going to have to pursue it further, that there was some sort of exception to that in state law. I don't know the answer to that. Is there not?
No, it's been.
So what's been repealed?
And sales tax exemptions for it.
Oh,
they'll charge sales tax.
We do.
across all the counties.
Wow, see, I just got my question answered. Thank you, Mr. Bayer. I appreciate that. So that's still what's in it for West Richland. That wouldn't be insignificant from my understanding. But again, nothing in the way of dollars is going to influence me to say that we should have something that might risk our groundwater or our standard or our quality of life here in West Richland. It will take up space, but we do have a lot of space. So those were just a couple comments. I also heard the Keene Road crossing. I'm glad that Roscoe addressed that, and also the sidewalks. I will say that, usually a sidewalk is developed by or installed by a developer in new developments. Each home pays for that through the cost of their house. And just to make sure everybody's educated on this, if I live on a road that has no sidewalks, it didn't even have a street, but 5 neighbors and I got together years ago and we paved our own road. And I paved my own sidewalk in front of my house. My point is not that you should do that. My point is that each resident is responsible for paying for their sidewalk and street lights and gutter, unless you happen to be fortunate enough, or maybe unfortunate enough, to live on arterial, where you can get state grants to pay for that for you. So just saying like that happened, that's a misunderstanding, I think, that sort of circulates that the city's responsible for paying for your roads and sidewalks. You actually pay for your roads and sidewalks, either individually or through your developer. And there are processes to go through. If you have neighbors that have, and I'm not saying any particular place, but there are large sections of the city where we've told residents that, if you guys want to get together and start an LID, a local improvement district, you can do that and the improvement will get made and you'll get charged in your property taxes for that over the course of time. And if Mr. Mendenhall wanted to add to that, he could, but that's my summary of sidewalks and streets. Just saying, we all have to pay for that, one way or the other. So thank you for the time. Thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem Bloom.
Mine may not be that brief. Just, no, I was gonna, Councilmember Moran, before your house was built, that lot burned from fireworks of people just passing through on windy days, setting fireworks off. It was kind of unique from that standpoint. Director Slade, I'm impressed with your diesel generator costs, even though I oppose the old concept. But at least we're not wasting capital money on that. But I did, the gas leak, I got there just after they hit it. And so I was able to sneak through the police parking lot and get past that intersection. On my way to the Yakima Basin Fish and Wildlife Recovery Board, which met, and we have approximately, there's about $500,000 of riparian money available. If somebody can find out, I'm going to talk with Benton Conservation District and see if I might be able to somehow get them and Benton County to agree to access or acquire Wolf Island. That's my thought. It's not our city, but it's, and possibly get some improvements on Wolf Island. Fireworks. Mr. Mayor, I would suggest that we segment the approval of the changes you are proposing, meaning let's address the three major areas separately, if we can have votes on that next week. The sales dates, the dates of discharge, and the number of sales. And as I was proposed before, we should expand on the generic reference to the 770 RCW 7077 rules and spell out what those rules are, which include, what's a fire nuisance, what's unlawful discharge. And those are things that we can implement for this 4th of July. And I don't know if it's possible to really go back and restrict the sales to nonprofits. And that's something I would like to see. As possibly we can't do it. And as I spoke to you before, I think the city should come up with a little safety video on how to shoot off fireworks safely, because aerials that don't go up in the air are going to cause a fire. And that is exactly what happened on your property. They went sideways right into your lot. And I think as meant, you mentioned the actual data centers, the upsides of the data centers would be sales tax revenue. It takes unfortunately, our part of the sales tax revenue is a very minor, what's the percentage? 0.85? Yeah. So there's a lot of 0.85s to add up to significant monies. And with that, I look forward to going to the meeting and meeting with constituents to discuss this. So with that, I think I'm done.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Bloom. Now I'm in the most uncomfortable position of all because it's 8:34 and I'm the last one keeping everyone here. But I will share this very briefly. This morning, I was able to attend a ribbon cutting with Mayor Pro Tem Bloom and Director Mendenhall for the Catholic Clinic. That was the addition that was constructed at Bombing Range and Keene Road. And it's great that Catholic continues its presence as a primary care provider in our city. So I was really happy to be a part of that. June 17th, once again, Wednesday, I will be at Flat Top Park with the Wednesdays in West with Director Mendenhall. He and I will be there really just to meet members of the community. Just a chance to come by starting at about 4:30. We'll be there till about 6. So I invite you to come down and just have a conversation with me. If you want to go to the little, I think they'll have a beer area set up there. You know, I'm sure we can walk over there if you want to have a beer and share that as well. It's up to you. Last thing I will mention though tonight, try to keep it brief, because data centers have been such a hot topic, brought up by a number of individuals raising significant concerns. I took a trip yesterday with Directors Slade and Mendenhall up to Quincy. Quincy, Washington is the home of several data center facilities. They extend in the northern part of their city, left to right. They've got, I think, about 8 or 9 physical facilities set up there. They range from relatively small, 100,000 square feet or less, to Colossus 500,000 square feet buildings run by Microsoft. I will say this, I went up there with an objective opinion just to see what I could see from a city that's had them now for 20 years. We met with Bob Davis, one of the program managers up there, city employee. We also met with Carl Worley, the municipal services director. So it was rather interesting because we went right to the fence line of several of them, held up a decibel sound meter just to get a reading of the sound pressure. It ranged from about 42 to 50 decibels. That's it. And to put that in perspective, 30 decibels is a whisper, 60 decibels is a conversation. My voice being projected in this room is probably significantly higher, even though I'm keeping the microphone down here. So noise, that was an issue we wanted to talk with. How is cooling addressed? They have a variety of cooling methodologies that they use, from recycled water, closed system, to cooling ponds, to even air cooling. Because during the winter months, all they do is open the air intakes, not even running water through the place, let the air cool it when it's about 10 degrees above zero. And plus, we were informed that the modern technologies allow for less heat being generated in the data center and higher tolerance for greater temperatures within the equipment that's been designed there. So it was a very enlightening experience from my part because I've never even seen what a data center looks like. And I know that Mr. Boggs here, he's not here right now, also has gone up to the Quincy data centers as well to look around. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done before a data center could ever go through an EIS process, environmental impact process here in West Richland, to where we are satisfied that it's not going to have a negative impact on the environment. But I asked about air quality for one final thing, and Department of Ecology goes through there, does air sampling. We're worried about particulates from the diesel generators that they use for backup power. And as the results of the test showed that the biggest offenders are actually the commercial trucks that come in and out of the food processing plants up there. And as far as water consumption overall was measured, those food processing plants use 70% of the potable water that Quincy has. The data centers use less than the residents, and that's for 8 somewhat significantly sized data centers, but it's because of the technology. So I'm not doing this to show that I'm convinced that data centers are without impact in West Richland. I'm just using that process that all of you are doing the research to see if one is proposed here in the city, if it is a good fit for our city. And as I gather more information, I invite you, or as you gather more, I invite you to share it with me, with Mr. Mendenhall, with Mr. Slade, and with your members of council. but avoid documents and information which in my mind is not peer reviewed, it's not scientific, because that doesn't help anyone. And so my approach, I have a science background, try to make sure that if I'm looking at science articles or research articles, they've been peer reviewed by respectable individuals, which any a legitimate scientist or researcher will allow their documentation to be reviewed. So that's all I have for this evening. I thank you all for the time, patience. It is 8:40. Let's adjourn this thing and let's go home. No executive session either. So, yep, we are adjourned.